Along with all this optimism and opportunity and boundless enthusiasm for the market, of course, there are some barriers that we're going to come up against, and just one of them is the PV housing penetration rate. If you look at the number of owner-occupied separate dwellings, we did some statistics early in the year, and you can see them in front of you, and you can see that in fact in some places in Australia we're already at 25% penetration rate into those houses. Now, of course, there's other houses, there's non-separate dwellings, there's apartment blocks, there's commercial, there's all sorts of other market opportunities. But this is the low-hanging fruit that our market is built on. It is these owner-occupied separate houses, and there are a lot of other barriers to uptake once you get outside there. So it's really the core of the residential market. And we're already starting to see, speaking with people in the market, I'm starting to hear stories about the fact that in some places in Australia, you know, pretty much every unshaded north-facing roof in Dubbo, for example, is been tackled. There are a very small number of ideal roofs and ideal customers that are out in a place like that already. And so what we're starting to see is that customers are getting more difficult to find, and that is going to increase quite rapidly. And in fact, we've been doing some modelling on this as well and saying, well, you know, if things keep growing at that high rate that we talked about, surely we're going to reach a point at which we've got housing penetration beyond, for argument's sake, 50% when we start getting to a market that's much harder to penetrate. And I think that's very, very realistic. The numbers that we were playing with the other day suggested that by as soon as 2017 or perhaps 2018 or 19, we will be in excess of 50% penetration if the market keeps growing at the rate that it's growing. So that's going to require technological solutions, it's going to require new marketing solutions, it's going to require new sales techniques that talk to a different type of consumer that we haven't had before. For those of you who've been in the market only in the last few years, it would seem that PV consumers are pretty easy to get over the line. For those of you who've been in the industry for longer than that, you'll remember 10 years ago when it was a very, very hard sell, and it was very hard to convince a customer to invest a lot of money with a long payback period. What we will be finding, and indeed are finding in some small pockets of the market already, is that we're already getting to that. We're now having to try and convince climate skeptics or people with far from optimal roofs that solar still makes sense, but it is slowly and surely happening.